Yeah, Bruce, I asked Nigel this earlier. I want to get your thoughts on it. Why do you think this team has been so good on the road this season? It's not the easiest thing for everybody.
I'm not sure. I just think their focus is really good. You have to be cut in. I think that's the biggest thing. Maybe sometimes some teams at home, they feel like they are going to play free and loose, and they don't realize you have to have that intensity at home too. That's how you dominate home court, is by really being ready and defending and doing those things that make a difference, and the things we've done on the road. But I don't know an explanation. I kind of joke with you guys that Mark had been so good on the road early and not good at home. Now he's been able to turn that tide and be pretty consistent, but maybe the whole team kind of, had his syndrome there that, I think a lot of it's the focus and your mindset, how, the game is, on the road, you have to be cut in, you have to be focused, all those words coaches use. And now they're, maybe figuring that out, home and away, that you have to come with that little bit of nervousness. I think that's important, that they don't have a mindset, hey, we're winning this game. They got a mindset, we're going to have to fight our butts off to find a way to be in the game and have a chance to win at the end.
Do you remember who first came up with the phrase "road dogs"?
I mean, we've used it in the past. Actually, the first Wichita game, I think, was the first road game. Somebody talked about it there. We got to be road dogs, and it's kind of hung with us throughout this whole season.
And one more for you. Notice Nigel, he's always pretty effective from 3-point range. Lately, he's even had some nice driving layups, especially against West Virginia. What's been the reason behind that?
His consistency, or what he's
just getting more to the hoop and scoring occasionally.
People are overplaying him. It's something he's worked on. It's the one thing I talked to him about, the coaches talked to him about after last season. Obviously, running him off screens, it's a special skill. In this day and age, it's a unique skill. It wasn't at one time, years back, that's what guards did. Now it's, because of the workout guys, it's everything with the ball, and they don't work on footwork, but as much as, and Nigel was so good at that. Now we just said, you got to take a step when people lock into you and they, now you get the ball. Can you make plays? Can you, whether it's the step back, whether it's the, low, crossover and get by somebody, and, he's worked at it, and he added that dimension to his game and feeling a lot more confident about it.
All right. Thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
Next question to Michael.
Hey, Bruce, in what ways have Mark Smith's leadership qualities manifested themselves?
I think I don't know if I talked to you guys. I talked to somebody, but the program came in the fall, and actually the Mac, one of the guys that was there, came back on his own, and they were with us the other night, the West Virginia game. Mac was, and had him talk before and after the game, so that was a nice different voice, and I think the players connected with them, and they've stayed in contact with them. But that group, they picked Mark as the best leader, and and then I don't think he had the confidence moving forward until maybe about midway through the season. And I'm not sure what changed it. I kind of, I've joked with you guys a few times that, I told them, hey, they're not going to give you another COVID year. You can't, this is it. You got to take advantage of every game. And, because of that, he just seems to be much more, focused, connected with not only himself, but with the teammates and the coaches. And, he wants to do well. He's made improvement. There's no doubt. I'm watching that Oklahoma State game the first one, and man, he made, you forget he made some big plays. Obviously Nigel made the big shot down the stretch, but he's really done it consistently. So when you feel good about yourself on the court, now you can, you feel better about being a leader and talking and saying the right things. And I think he's done that. He's been vocal, not in like a loud or, but just a common sense, constant voice that, we gotta play at a high level. And then he's, with the program, they talked a lot about, there's a standard and you got to hold each other accountable, but first you got to hold yourself accountable. And Mark's done that. He's been, he plays hard. He leads us on to play hard by, it's the biggest margin. We joked as a staff the other day, he's so far ahead of everyone else. I don't know if we've ever had that before. He's taken the most charges. He's, the leading rebounder. So he's setting the example, and he's holding himself accountable, which now has allowed him to hold other people accountable.
What concerns you the most about Oklahoma State?
They're probably, to me, they're as talented as anybody, any team in the league. And they have really good depth. We're going to have to play better. I just told the guys just a minute ago when we left practice, we got to be 25% better than we were last time if we're expecting to win at their place. And we showed them things we need to correct. They've done a good job in the past when we showed them things and, made them aware, and it's helped them connect with those things and pay attention, have awareness. And we've made improvement, but we can't, you can't let them get in transition, which means you got to run good offense, and to be able to, stop them. Cause once they get running, especially at home, they can start throwing those lob dunks and windmills and things like that. That's when they're at their best. And then we got to keep them out of the paint. We didn't do a very good job of keeping them out of the paint, whether it was getting to the hoop or penetrating and kicking, and then first half, they kind of killed us on the boards, offensive glass. We did a better job in second half. Obviously, that's always a factor with us, and it's one of their strengths.
And what have you guys done to be able to kick up the tempo a little bit and still minimize turnovers?
I think knowing each other, knowing yourself, being the best version of yourself, that was the emphasis today. Not trying to do too much, but a few weeks ago, and you brought it up, you asked about, I think it was after Mississippi, I started a thing in practice, like as soon as the ball goes through the hoop, we have 7 seconds, they got to get up the court. And, just making them run, getting to the corners. We showed them on film again, when we show them things, they seem to accept it and they see it, because it's a, we always say film doesn't lie. And so now get to the corners, get that ball up quick, get some good movement, whether it's a miss or a make. And I think that's been the big thing. And then not trying to do too much. There's no doubt Marquise's progress has, really becoming not just I think his whole thing at Little Rock was the score. And now, to be able to accept, scoring at sometimes, but also being a playmaker, getting us into the stuff. His improvement has obviously helped us with the turnover part.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next question to Arnie.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a little about Nigel. The other night he has 13 points, and we're talking about him that being an off night for him. Yet I think that's better than what he averaged last year. Has he raised his game that, and maybe the expectations that much? That you're judging by a different standard?
Yeah,
now?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any doubt, Ernie. It's we talked before, he was just consistently getting 15, 17 points, and then obviously he had an unbelievable 5-6 game run, games in the 30s and 20s and game winners, and magical shooting performances, and a little off the other night, even missed that little layup that could have really put them out of reach. Which he's been so good on that little floater, and we always say dunk it or use the glass, and he didn't, that's the first thing he said after. I know, dunk it or use the glass. And he sure isn't dunking, so you better use the glass on those. But I still, and I said it after the game, we won without him playing, being special. But at the same time, you look at his numbers, 6 rebounds, I believe, 5 assists, 1 turnover, a couple steals, and even I think a couple block shots even. So, he did some other things that really helped us. And he guarded McNeil, and McNeil, obviously the first time, 26 points. I think it was the season high. Nigel did a good job on that part of it. So, and he's improved on that end of the court.
And I guess that's something also, the fact that he can help you now in other ways. He doesn't necessarily need to score. Does he seem to recognize maybe when he's having a rough night and adjust his game, do you think?
Yeah, and then if other guys play well, it really helps. And so now he doesn't feel like the pressure's totally on him to force shots and get them up. I would say, on the year, maybe 15, 20 shots forced a little bit, which is, one a game, maybe, a couple games, none, couple games, 2, so he knows we need him to score, but at the same time, when other guys are playing well, then he feels more comfortable that he's able to play make and get some assists and do some of those other things to help us win.
Also want to ask you a little bit about Mark. You talked about having recruited him at 3 different times. I was just curious how that all went and why you stuck with him, or did he finally approach you, or how did that whole thing play out?
Yeah, the first time, I believe we were the first one. His story, he was a baseball player, committed to Missouri, didn't really play AAU. He's a good high school player. He has an injury. Looks like his baseball career is not going where it thought, so now, hey, I'm going to be a basketball player. And, Chris and I both have a lot of connections with St. Louis, our time at SIU, our time at Illinois, even the time here with, we've had several of those kids come, Xavier and DJ and, the Davion, obviously. And so we've had a pretty good connection. So we were there early. I saw him. I was at my daughter's house for Christmas, and I saw him play. We offered that next week. We were the first one to offer. Obviously, it blew up. Becomes Mr. Basketball in Illinois. Illinois offers, a lot of pressure in state, but leaves there after a semester. We went back and we didn't have a scholarship. Chris and I went and met with him and his family. We just asked them to be a little patient because I thought we were going to get a scholarship, which we ended up getting at the semester, but Conzo did a good job and, got in there, and he knew Missouri. So we obviously we got to play, them and, down in Paradise Jam. His dad is always, he knows Chris real well from back at SIU days. And, he's always stayed in touch. He's actually texted me at different times, even when he was playing at Missouri. And so when they finished their season, he met with Conzo, told him that he wasn't coming back, and called Coach Lowry, and then called myself. And I just said, we're not recruiting you this time, but either you're coming or not. And he said, Coach, I'm coming. So it was an easy sell. And obviously it's worked out, for us and hopefully for him also.
Thanks.
Yep.
Next question to Tim.
Hey, Bruce, your guys' win over Oklahoma State kind of started this run of winning 4 of the last 5. What are maybe some of the biggest ways that you've seen this team improve and take a step forward during that stretch of games?
Well, if you really look at, since we were 0-4, what are we, 6-3 now, or 7-3, right? Or whatever it is. So 6-3, I'm sorry, 6-3. I guess depending what you count the Mississippi game, but in the league 6-3, and then lost a couple others that, you know, you had a chance to win. So, you know, we've been pretty good since we got out of COVID, and, you know, we got all the players together. We actually got to practice with coaches. You know, we've been as competitive as anybody in the league, I think. So, you know, but, you know, you have the heartbreaker against Kansas, you know, probably just a little bit of hangover against Baylor, and they took it to us. And then Mississippi I thought we were ready to play. We just didn't play well. And they're actually pretty, you know, good, solid team. And, you know, to me, that hurt because I thought we could have won that game and it would have helped us in the long haul. But, you know, give the guys credit. And then you talk about Mark's leadership, you know, Nigel, Marquise, they want to win. And, you know, they're the ones that have, you know, I always say it's about the players, it's about them and their determination, their passion. And that's, you know, that's what they've done, you know, just on the court, you know, taking care of the ball, playing together, making one more pass, you know, and I still think we can get better defensively. We have times where we're pretty good, and then other times we're not on our toes as much as we need to. But I think all those things just kind of their desire, their will, their, you know, their leadership, and then, you know, just getting a little better as individuals and as a team. It's kind of all added up to us having a pretty good run here.
And then obviously your guys' win over Oklahoma State at home helped with the kind of Nigel's clutch moment there. But what are maybe some of the bigger lessons that you guys took from that game that you'll be able to use on Saturday when you head down to Stillwater?
I think we just showed them we have to do a better job on the defensive end. We got to protect the paint. You know, the first half they were, you know, able to get some offensive rebounds that gave them some, you know, some second chance opportunities. I think those are the big things you hope you learn. And, you know, and they were that whole game. If you remember back, it was a game of runs. We would go on a run, take a lead, they go on a run, you know, and then we were just fortunate at the end, you know, to get that last shot and Nigel make it. So I think that, you know, we just gotta, if we're gonna beat them at their place, we're gonna have to play better, especially on the defensive end, and do some of the same things we did offensively, but make sure that we stop them and keep them off the glass.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
Next question to Ryan.
Hey, Coach, how important has it been to have Mike McGrath come back for this extra COVID season? And do you think that your team is even considered to be a bubble team or in consideration for the NCAA tournament without him?
You know, I obviously can't predict if you didn't have him, but, you know, I'm happy that he came back. You know, I'm happy he's had some success lately. You know, it's kind of funny because, you know, Selton goes down with the injury. Now you're, you know, one man down, and it, you know, gave Mike opportunity to step back into the starting lineup. You know, we all kind of challenged him, you know, and he's done. The best thing has been his energy, especially on defense. He changed the game against Iowa State, obviously with some steals, deflections. If you go back and watch the Oklahoma State game, he had couple huge rebounds. He had a tip in that led to another tip by Mark, you know, all those little plays. And then he's been pretty, you know, much more efficient on offense. So it all adds up to him helping us. You know, I couldn't, you know, you can't have a better young man, and you just want him to have success and, you know, and hopefully have a good finish to his career. And I know he's going to be, you know, he'll have a chance to go play probably a little bit. But when it comes down to it, he'll be whether he coaches or whatever he ends up wanting to do, he's going to be successful at it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next question to Grant.
Hey, Coach. With how solid Ish has played the last two games, have you considered inserting him back into that starting lineup, or do you like him off the bench more?
I think, you know, there may be a time where if somebody's small or some, we could do that. But, I like right now, him, we want to keep Davion confident, because he's done some things better. He just doesn't, can't sustain it. So, we need Davion to play well, but we also, we need Nish to play well. And I'm happy he's had a little success, and feels good about himself. Again, we challenged him a week ago, and I said, you got to give us something. And I think the big thing, some of those, tip in, some up around the hoop. He just, you can't just be one dimensional. And then if you don't make a shot, now you're totally useless. And so he's doing some of that other stuff, and that's kind of give him a little confidence, a little energy, and hopefully helped him and helped us.
And then the last thing I got for you is, obviously you just mentioned, Mike as a possible coach after basketball. Mark's been talked about as wanting to coach after basketball. Are those the only two guys you think that have it in them, or is there other guys on the roster that you think could coach?
I think there's actually Marquise I've talked to him about it. I think Luke probably wants to do something down the road. There's quite a few guys that, seem to have an interest in it. I wouldn't be surprised if Ish wants to do it down the road someday too. So, when you ask about the group, they care, they like basketball, they like being around it, which is always helpful.